You know who's the person that I enjoy spending the most time with? The one who is always there to pick me up when I'm down and who I feel like I can relate to the most? The spider that lives outside of my apartment window.
I mean, look at this dude just wiggling about. That's my boy right there.
Haha, nah, it's actually just me. When I'm alone, there's no character that I have to play. I'm under no pressure. We are all influenced by the people that we hang around with to an extent, and as a result, we either consciously or unconsciously act in relation to them. It doesn't mean it's not possible to be yourself around others, it just means that it's much harder to find and accept the real you. This journey of tackling my loneliness has taken up a good portion of my life, but I feel like in the last year or so is when I've actually conquered it. I've already made a video on how I learned to love being alone, but in that video, I went over the actual things I did with my time alone, which involves several different ways of taking care of myself. And of course, it's a requirement that in order to be happy with your alone time, that you gotta take care of yourself during that time and do the right things to nurture yourself. But what I haven't talked about is the feeling, or rather the mentality of someone who is lonely. In an age where we are simultaneously more connected and less connected than ever, loneliness rates are at an all-time high, and it's important that we discuss how to combat this. So first, let's talk about what I realized about loneliness. When I used to frequently feel lonely, it ironically felt like I was spending time with two people. The first being the listener of the person or thing that was telling me that I was lonely, and the second was the talker. By this I mean I was tormented by what my mind was telling me about myself and why I should feel lonely. You see, we are never actually totally alone because being alone implies that we're with nobody. But we are always with somebody, and that somebody is the voice inside of your head. The key to never feeling lonely is to make friends with and cultivate a good relationship with that voice inside of your head that is telling you you're lonely and that you need to be with someone and that you're incomplete on your own. What all of us humans crave is a sense of belonging, feeling like there's a reason for us to belong on this earth. And for most people, the easiest way to feel this is by having other people care about you. Having a community is very essential to one's health and happiness, but if you always have to be around people in order to care about yourself, and you can't care about yourself when you're alone, then you're just leeching your sense of well-being off of other people's opinions about you. And trust me, people can feel if you're that type of person where you need them to validate you in some way, that your cup is always empty and you gotta take from other people's cup with nothing to give. Like, people don't like being around people like that. And if you're leeching this sense of well-being off of others, if you lose that community, you'd completely collapse. And this is what you must realize. No person or people outside of you can exterminate your sense of loneliness forever. They can maybe help hide it for a brief moment, but if you get home and find yourself only with those two people, the voice inside your head and the listener, and you can't take that, then you're still lonely. Loneliness is all mental because even if you're at a party or you're surrounded by a ton of people, you can still feel just as lonely as when you're by yourself. Because you connect with those people you are surrounded with as well as you connect with the voice inside of your head, which isn't a strong connection at all. So now I want to talk about some of the ways that I changed my mentality and I became friends with the voice inside of my head so I could finally enjoy spending time with myself alone. This process is going to vary in difficulty and length of time that it's going to take depending on where you're at in life. I can only share my subjective experience and I can't talk with all of you one-on-one like a real licensed therapist can. And that's why I have the sponsor of today's video, which is BetterHelp. I would say that for most of you watching, you have something that's interfering with your happiness or from you achieving your goals. I know for me, before I tackled my loneliness, it was the fact that I lost my significant other and I just didn't feel whole and complete and worthy on my own anymore. And BetterHelp is going to assess your needs and going to match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 48 hours. It's not some sort of crisis line or self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online. And their network is huge. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 20,000 plus therapist network, which may not be locally available in many areas. And this service is available for clients worldwide, which is awesome. Unlike traditional therapy in person, you can log into your account any any time and send a message to your therapist. You're gonna get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule weekly video or phone calls so you don't have to sit in a waiting room like with traditional therapy. And BetterHelp is committed to making great therapeutic matches for you, so it's super easy and free to change your therapist at any time. And it's more affordable than traditional offline therapy, and financial aid is available. If you want to start living a happier life and you've been hesitant to pull the trigger on therapy, now is the time to do it. So you can visit betterhelp.com/Cole, that's better HELP, and join the over 1 million people taking charge of their mental health with the help of an experienced professional. And there's a special offer for listeners of my channel where you can get 10% off of your first month if you go to betterhelp.com/Cole. Okay, so the first thing that I did in my times of deep inner work was I asked myself, what was I expecting out of life to rid myself of this loneliness? Like, where was I searching for the end to my problems? And I realized I had these expectations that eventually I would find the one for me, you know, right? Like the perfect girl that would complete me and it would be all happily ever after. And maybe a huge friend group that I could call my own and where everyone was happy and where I felt like I belonged in. And when I finally got that, when I finally reached that, my loneliness would stop. And so the first thing I did was I changed my whole mindset about this. I let go of all my expectations about who I'm gonna meet, who I'm gonna be friends with, who I'm gonna love in the future. You know, maybe I'll find an amazing woman, maybe I'll find an amazing friend group, but if none of those things do end up happening, then I'm not worried. Because I now know that nobody is gonna save me from my state of loneliness but myself. Now, I didn't remove all expectations. I still have pretty high expectations for myself and what I'm capable of, but I stopped expecting my life to go a certain way or that I had to follow a certain path, and I kind of just embraced the uncertainty of my life in terms of who I meet, who I become friends with, and who I love. Friends, family, and relationships, they're all gonna come and go in your life. Some people are gonna stay in your life, some are going to leave and you're not gonna know why. And I never wanna become too attached to any of those things to the point where I'd lose myself completely if I lost them. And this is different from being completely detached from reality and people. You can still love things dearly and not lose yourself when you lose them. Like, it's possible. So what you need is less of an attachment to expectations, at least expectations of other people who you're gonna meet and who you're gonna fall in love with. And then I started to analyze this voice inside of my head, this other thing that is a part of me, but somehow also detached from me in a way that I needed to become friends with. Why was it telling me all of these things about loneliness and not belonging? That's because the voice in your head is a conditioned voice, and it's been conditioned by the culmination of everything that's happened to you in the past. This voice has been led to believe that loneliness is determined by physical presence and that you're still lacking something that will no longer make you feel lonely. And the truth is, you already have everything you need within you. You need to start the process of developing a good relationship with that voice. If that voice is telling you you're not worthy, you're too ugly, too short, too weird, question why the voice sounds like this. Someone else, whether that's friends or family or some random person on the internet, fueled that voice by their own words. And their own words come from their subjective reality, which is not objective truth 99% of the time. And you have to begin the process of breaking down those walls that have been created by the conditioned voice and nurturing that voice back to its state when you were a kid, when you weren't really influenced by other people's opinions and thoughts, aka their voices. Every time you hear that voice speaking negatively about yourself, you need to separate yourself from it. And you gotta talk to this voice. You kind of just gotta say, look, you know, that's a great opinion and all, voice, but what I've realized is that I'm completely worthy on my own, that your voice came from something outside of me, whether that was an experience or some other person, and I know I'm capable of loving myself right now, no matter where I'm at in life, by myself. And I kind of just repeated this process until I reconditioned this voice to be on my side, and now me and this voice that is kind of separate from me, you know, we're homies, we're like this. yeah, you gotta become homies with that voice inside of your head. Also, another thing that I used to do a lot, or I used to let it affect me a lot, was consuming a lot of information online, because a lot of what is happening in the world, or what you see on social media and online, is kind of this fake reality, and a reality of someone else living their best life. And so when you feel like you're not doing a lot of stuff that they are, or you're not even having a lot of the same interests as most people in the world, that can make you feel like you don't belong in this world. And as we now know, you know, belonging is such an important feeling to feel if you don't want to feel lonely. And so it's weird, like consuming more information about people, you would think that that wouldn't make you feel so alone, but when you feel like you're outside of the norm, which I do, you know, I don't have many of the same interests as a lot of people that I'm around pretty frequently, that made me feel like separate from most of the people in the world. And instead of just like not consuming as much information, because it's pretty hard to not do that in this digital age. Yes, it's important to turn the phone off, get out into nature, you know, actually step outside. You know, can we start doing this more, please? I emphasize this a lot. Go outside and touch grass and see the real world and not just online. Then you might not feel as lonely either. But I completely shifted my mindset to be okay with this, with being okay with being different. I personally am really fucking happy that I'm different from most people, that I'm unique and I have my own voice and I'm able to step outside of the crowd. So what if I can't connect to most people? That's okay with me. I mean, most people aren't very happy these days anyways. And look, you know, the person that I connect with the most is myself. So that's enough for me. But I do want to emphasize again that it is important for your health and happiness to find, no matter how small of a friend group, you know, a community where you can talk to other people and integrate back into finding a friend group. So like, you want to do this inner work first that I've been talking about, all of these different mentality shifts. And when you feel like you've brought your self-worth up and you are truly happy being alone for extended periods of time, then, you know, find that friend group where you can share that love with, because that feels so fucking good. You know, when your glass is full and you can share some of that glass with other people, that's one of the most wholesome feelings in life. And that's what I like to do now. Like, I like to give my love, all this love that I've built up for myself, to other people and lift them up. And so yeah, I've actually made a video about, to anyone who feels like they don't belong, I do suggest checking that one out as well as the How I Learned to Love Being Alone video. A big thank you to all the patrons on this channel on Patreon. If you don't know what this is, it's a platform separate from YouTube where I'm putting out exclusive videos and podcasts you can't find anywhere else. If you want to take advantage of that, click that thing on screen or go to the link in the description, which is patreon.com/Cole Hastings. You can also talk to me one-on-one there, but that's it for this video. And yeah, hopefully this helped you guys. I'm heading out. I'm doing this quickly. Goodbye.